The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. This book was written in 1965 when S.E. Hinton, the writer, was only 15 years old. She wrote this book for two reasons. She wanted to write a book about the kids she knew in her high school, a realistic book. And she also was angry about the divisions that existed between the insiders and outsiders in her school and in her town. Most of her friends were like the outsiders in this book, and she wanted to tell their stories. In Tulsa, Oklahoma, there is a clear line between the haves and the have-nots. The haves live on the west side of town, and they're called the Socias. The Socias have all the things that make life easy. They are rich, they drive nice cars, they can afford to buy new nice clothes, and they throw big parties with alcohol and drugs. Most importantly, though, the Socias can afford to buy their way out of trouble, so they live their lives as if there are no consequences. On the other side of that are the have-nots, and they come from the east side, and they're called the greasers because of the hair oil that they wear. And the greasers are poor and tough. Because of that, people look down on them. They think they're the troublemakers. And sure, greasers have their fair share of trouble. They may throw punches at their friends in fun, and they might get into fights with the Socias, but they believe in sticking up for each other when it counts, and they believe in fighting fair. Ponyboy, at 14, is the youngest in his family of greasers. Some of the guys are his real family, like his brothers Soda Pop and Derry. Others, like Johnny and Dallas and Two-Bit, they have all just been around each other for so long and so often that it's like their family. And Ponyboy isn't sure how he fits into this family because he likes things that they don't like. He likes school, and he likes reading. He's also pretty obsessed with movies. And he'd rather avoid trouble than go looking for it like Dallas. But one night, when Johnny and Ponyboy are out, trouble finds them. And that trouble comes in the form of 5 Socias. All of these guys are older and bigger than Ponyboy and Johnny. And Johnny panics. He's already anxious because he's got things that has happened to him that have made him that way. So when they're jumped, he does the only thing he can think of to protect himself and Ponyboy. And soon, the consequences of those actions leave them running and hiding from the police. And also, the war between the Socias and the greasers gets vicious and violent and out of control. And while they're in hiding, there's not much to do, so Ponyboy starts to do a lot of thinking about who he is and why he's a greaser, and he also thinks about the things that make greasers and Socias both different and alike. So when tragedy strikes, these thoughts that he has really influence the way he reacts and how he sees things. And we really get to see Ponyboy's true colors as events unfold. So I'd recommend reading The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton. Birthmarked by Caragh O'Brien. 16-year-old Gaia is a midwife like her mother. She lives in Western Sector 3 of Wharfton, which is a town just outside of the walled city of the Enclave. Wharfton and the Enclave cannot be more different. While the residents of Wharfton live with no electricity, little water, and meager food supplies, the people of the Enclave have everything that they need. And that means a lot in a world ravaged by drought and food shortages. In order to survive, the people of Wharfton are beholden to the Enclave and its laws. And these laws include the baby quota. As a midwife, Gaia must observe the quota or face imprisonment or worse. This means that she, like every midwife in all the sectors of Wharfton, must advance the first 3 babies that she delivers each month to the Enclave. It's the law that they present the babies within 90 minutes of their birth. Well, on the night that Gaia delivers her first baby, without any assistance from her mother, she begins to understand just how difficult taking a newborn from its mother can be. But she tells herself that is her duty. Those babies are the lucky ones after all. They're going to receive food and water and shelter and live good lives in the Enclave, while people in Morphton struggle. Gaia has no reason to question the Enclave's motives until she arrives home to discover a soldier in her house, and that her father and pregnant mother have been taken away. It is clear from the condition of their home that the soldiers were looking for something. And Gaia is pretty sure that it is the small package that her mother's assistant gave to her earlier that night. As she faces the soldier, she feels the weight of that package against her thigh, where she's tied it under her midwife skirt. Something tells her, though, to keep silent about it, because the package obviously contains a secret that the Enclave is willing to go to great lengths to protect. After Gaia is alone for a while, she becomes determined to sneak into the Enclave to find her family, and to discover a way to unlock the secret of the package. She will have to make it past the soldiers and the wall, and it's not going to be easy because Gaia has a scar that is on her face, and that scar is going to make her stand out in the Enclave's perfect world. Will Gaia be able to save her family before the Enclave punishes them for the secrets that they keep? Find out in Birthmarked by Caragh O'Brien. The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. Prentice Town isn't like other towns. Of the 147 inhabitants of Prentice Town, there are no women. That's right, the town is just men. Well, it's 146 men and one boy, Todd Hewitt. Another strange thing about Prentice Town, everyone can hear everyone else's thoughts in this overwhelming, never-ending stream of noise. Todd has never lived a day without this noise. Before he was even born, the original inhabitants of the planet released a germ that killed half the men and most of the women in Prentice Town. The remaining men were infected with the noise. Just 1 month away from the birthday that will make Todd a man, he is outside of Prentice Town with his dog Manchee. Todd can hear Manchee's thoughts too, whether he wants to or not. And while they're out, he and Manchee stumble on an area of complete silence. It's not a large area. It's more like a hole or a pocket of silence in the noise of everything. And it is the size and shape of a girl. Because of his own noise, Todd, when he gets back into town, can't keep his knowledge of this girl a secret for long, no matter how hard he tries to mask his thoughts. And he finds that in a town where privacy is impossible, there's some terrible secret hidden. And it's a secret so awful that it forces Todd and Manchee and this mysterious girl to run for their lives. That is The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. My Sister's Bones by Cathi Hanauer. Billy Weinstein has plenty of problems. She's the only Jewish girl living in an all-Italian neighborhood in Westbury, New Jersey. She is trying hard to please her demanding father, who is so much worse now that Billy's smart, beautiful, perfect older sister Cathi is away at college. Billy's father insists that she learn 20 words a day for the upcoming SATs, that she read the New York Times twice a week, and that she watch masterpiece theater whenever he tells her to. Billy just wants to be a typical 16-year-old. She wants to go to the movies with her new first boyfriend and watch his wrestling matches. And she wants to hang out with her best friend Tiff and talk about boys and clothes and makeup and disco. On top of it all, Billy starts to get strange calls from Cathi at college. And when her sister comes home for Thanksgiving, she looks different, and she doesn't eat a thing. Even the dogs sense something is off and get into a vicious fight under the dining room table. Billy soon discovers her sister's secret. Cathi is battling anorexia. But Billy's parents excuse Cathy's weight loss as stress due to the competitive nature at college. But Billy knows something is drastically wrong with her sister, something that could be fatal. She desperately needs to find a way to help her sister, a way to find herself, and a way to stand up to her overbearing father. Find out how Billy does that in My Sister's Bones by Cathi Hanauer. The Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury. This book is actually a collection of short stories that were originally published between the years of 1947 and 1950. The stories in this book deal with technology and the future. I like to think of it as, if you're familiar with the television show Black Mirror, it's like a Black Mirror from the late 1940s, early 1950s. The story I'm going to tell you about from this book is called The Veldt. And for those of you who don't know, a veldt is a grassland in Africa. George Hadley has worked hard to give his family everything they could ever want. The ultimate gift, he thinks, is the happy life home that they live in. Their home has all the amenities a person could wish for, mostly because the happy life home grants a person's every wish. All they have to do is think a thought, and the home responds. If George's wife Lydia wants a cup of coffee, the house reads that thought and prepares a cup of coffee for her. The house does it all. It does the dishes, laundry, cleaning. It leaves the Hadleys with time to do the things in their life that make them truly happy. George has even spent a great deal of extra money to purchase a state-of-the-art playroom for his 10-year-old twins, Peter and Wendy. This playroom is 40 feet long, 40 feet wide, and has a 30-foot ceiling. It is by far the largest room in their house. Nothing, after all, is too good for his children, George thinks. In the year that they've lived in the house, George has stepped into that playroom, and he has encountered things that are from his children's wildest imaginations. And he's encountered people and places like things he's never seen before, and they're so real he can't believe it. For instance, he's gone into the room and met Alice in Wonderland. He's also met Jack Pumpkinhead from Oz and met Aladdin and rubbed his magic lamp. After about a year, though, George begins to wonder why things seem not quite right. day after day, the room is the same now. The kids aren't using their imaginations like before. And the room the children have created now, it is a hot, bright African veldt. There are vultures circling around. The heat from the sun just emanates from the room. The musky smell of lions and the sweet odor of the blood from their prey just sort of seeps under the cracks of the door. And every night in bed, George and Lydia can hear the screams of two people silenced by the roar of lions. Finally, it's just too much for George, and he thinks, why have the children created this awful place? So he decides to consult a psychologist, and the psychologist suggests that the playroom be locked. The psychologist thinks, in fact, that the whole house should be turned off, and that the Hadleys should take a little time and benefit from a little bit of modern inconvenience. Well, the children are in hysterics when their playroom is locked. They scream and they sob and they swear. And George's wife, Lydia, just cannot stand it. She does not want to see her children in such a state. So she convinces George to open that door one last time. To find out what happens when they open that door one last time, you can read the rest of that story, The Veldt, in The Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury.